The aims of macular hole surgery are twofold. 1. To relieve traction on the hole by removal of any epiretinal membrane and peeling of internal limiting membrane, and secondly, to stimulate tissue repair mechanisms by use of adjuvants including intraoperative cytokines and fluid air exchange. To utilize the surface tension and buoyant pressures associated with intravitreal gas bubble, post-operative prone positioning for variable periods of time is necessary. Patients who undergo macular hole surgery tend to be elderly with coexisting health problems that hinder face-down positioning. Moreover, real time spent posturing is often lower than what is medically indicated and compliance is often poor. We describe a modified novel technique of macular hole surgery with which satisfactory hole closure could be achieved in eyes with hole size varying from 400 micrometer to 1472 micrometers. The first case demonstrates the use of autologous gluconated blood clumps as an aid to internal limiting membrane peeling and as an adjuvant to stimulate tissue repair. This patient is a 53-year-old lady with a small macular hole of 400 micrometer size and a short duration of symptoms. The surgical technique involves induction of a posterior vitreous detachment after delineating the posterior hyaloid face with preservative-free triamcinolone acetonide. Gluconated autologous blood clumps is layered over the hole and the macular area. Excess blood is aspirated. Internal limiting membrane peeling is initiated by raising a flap of the internal limiting membrane by gently stroking with a blunt spatula. The ileum flap is peeled for an extensive area around the hole. Note that the margins of the hole become well apposed at the end of the procedure. The fundus and OCT pictures of the patient taken on day 1 shows adequate hole closure. Utilizing an inverted internal limiting membrane flap as a scaffold to accelerate glial tissue migration and bridging of the gap in the neuroretinal element is demonstrated in this video. This patient is a 60-year-old woman who had a moderately sized macular hole with a base diameter of 650 micrometer. The internal limiting membrane in this patient is stained with brilliant blue G. A flap is raised by gently stroking with a blunt spatula. and the ILM flap is raised all around this moderately sized hole. The flap is trimmed down to the edges of the hole and gently reposited into the hole edges. The OCT appearance on day 1 shows adequate hole closure. Our last patient is a 40-year-old male laser technician working in a dermatology clinic. He experienced a popping sound in his left eye during a session of laser hair removal while using the QSwish 1064 nanometer Nd:YAG laser. He was unprotected at the time of the incident. A large size macular hole of over 1472 micrometer was seen in this patient. An area of posterior vitreous detachment was present over the macular hole. Posterior vitreous separation was completed using the suction of a 23-gauge cutter. Autologous gluconated blood was instilled over the macular area into the well of the hole, and it was layered over by brilliant blue G to achieve double staining. A blunt spatula was used to raise a flap of the internal limiting membrane. Which was peeled all around the macular hole and hinged at the margin of the hole. The redundant internal limiting membrane was trimmed with a 23-gauge cutter. The ILM flap was gently massaged into the well of the hole and nudged under its edges. A drop of autologous whole blood was used to seal the internal limiting membrane in place. The color fundus spectral domain OCT images at 24 hours, 7 days and 14 days after the procedure revealed shrinkage and adequate hole closure. The patient also experienced a significant visual improvement from a preoperative vision of 3/60 to 6/12. Thus, we describe modified technique of macular hole surgery with which satisfactory hole closure could be achieved in holes of varying sizes from 400 micrometer to 1472 micrometer. Our technique uses fewer surgical steps, is shorter and less cumbersome to the patient as it avoids postoperative prone positioning. The sequelae of intraocular gas tamponade such as cataract formation and secondary intraocular pressure spike could also be avoided in this series of patients. Our technique seems to be a safe and efficient option. We are continuing our efforts to enroll more patients into this study.